Hi there, Nikki Butler here, skin and scar specialist. This is just a longer version of a video that I posted on social media earlier today around the question of, can radio frequency cause loss of volume, loss of fat within the face? The question was asked in the context of radio frequency microneedling, but it's relevant whether it's radio frequency or radio frequency microneedling together. And the reality is that any treatment where we're putting heat into the skin has the potential to cause a loss of volume and breaking down the fat cells. Now that's absolutely fine if what we're trying to do is target little stubborn pockets of fat under the chin, for example, or potentially around the jowls. But what we don't want to do is break down fat cells in the rest of the face. We have fat pads all over our face, and as we mature, that volume naturally diminishes. So we certainly don't want to be introducing treatments where we're going to be breaking down even more of that volume. What that can leave you with is a really sunken look, and it can be quite aging, which is actually the opposite of what we're trying to achieve with these treatments. We want to have like the lovely tightening and lifting and the plumpness from boosting collagen and elastin, reduction in lines of wrinkles, but we definitely don't want to be losing volume. The difficulty with loss of fat pad volume is we can't re-stimulate or boost those natural levels. The only way to replace it is with things like fillers. So it's very important that you're working with a practitioner that really understands firstly the technology that they're using. So not all systems are created equal, that is for sure. So making sure they have good quality equipment, making sure that they have good control over the depth of the skin that can be treated, the energy levels, so the heat levels, and that they're able to adapt that for you through understanding your skin and your treatment goals. That's so important. There are so many different systems on the market, and you could have the best all singing, all dancing system and an inexperienced practitioner, or you could have one of the older systems and a super experienced practitioner. And there's no guarantee that you're going to get a good result just because it's the super duper all singing, all dancing. So making sure good technology and a good understanding and training of the systems that a practitioner is using is going to be really key. Making sure you communicate what your outcomes are, your desired outcomes are. Now, I used to offer radio frequency in my clinic, and it became redundant for me when I introduced the Linton Focus Dual because it had radio frequency microneedling. So that's where the radio frequency is emitted into the skin when the needles are in the skin. And it also had HIFU. So HIFU is thermal treatment, but it's super precise. I love anything that is super precise. So the beauty of the Focus Dual HIFU is the fact that it's super targeted. I know exactly what depth I'm treating the skin at. I can control the energy levels depending on my clients. And it's really important to me that I'm able to do that. And with the radio frequency element, it means, I can control the needles to 0.1 of a millimeter. I can control the energy levels, like the variants are incredible. The needles can be insulated, which means that the all of the energy, the heat goes only to the tip, or it can be uninsulated, where the radio frequency goes all the way through the layers of the skin. There's so many variables on that, which means that I can assess your skin, I can treat different areas with different parameters and make sure that I'm minimizing the risk and not reducing fat pad volume where we don't want to. But the reason I stopped offering radio frequency on its own is because really the Focus Dual with radio frequency microneedling and HIFU meant that I didn't need to have it anymore. I like the fact that this system gives me absolute control over all layers of the skin that I can treat with those two treatments combined, but it's precision. And I think it's just understanding and communicating with your practitioner what it is that you want to achieve. Don't be afraid to ask the questions, like ask about their experience, ask about their technology and their system, whether it's medical CE grade. The thing to bear in mind with loss of volume in the face, loss of fat pad volume, and I'm talking about unwanted, not where we're specifically targeting stubborn pockets of fat, is you're not going to see that loss of volume for 6 to 12 months after your treatment. So you're not going to have a treatment and suddenly all of your volume's gone. Often what is quite confusing for clients can be you have a treatment I see this all the time. You have a treatment, you're shown a before and after picture, you can see that there's an improvement, and then you think that's your result. That's not your result. That is a post-treatment inflammation. We've caused a trauma to the skin, and that's what you're seeing, inflammation from the trauma. So quite often clients can leave, particularly after HIFU and particularly after treatments like radiofrequency, and you think, oh, this is looking lovely. And a few days later, it's gone. And the reality is that that's the post-treatment inflammation that's gone, but it takes 3 to 6 months to see the results from these big collagen boosting treatments. And that's 3 to 6 months after your last treatment in a course of treatment. So please don't panic if you're having a treatment and you suddenly feel like a week later you've lost volume. It takes much longer than that to break down the fat pad volume within your skin. So it can be 6 to 12 months. I'm going to post a link to my video I did on HIFU because that has had hands down the most views of all of the videos I've done. And sadly, I get a lot of people contact me where they've had very aggressive HIFU and 6 to 12 months later, they have had a lot of fat pad loss, the loss of volume. And as I said, the only way to replace that is with treatments like filler. The other treatments can help to tighten and lift the skin, but we can't put back the volume that is lost, not without injectables. Something that I think it's really important to mention is you should not be in agony during any of your treatments. Do not be British and stoic and lay there and think, I don't want to be that client and say this hurts. Be that client and tell your practitioner that it hurts. You should not be in pain. And what I always say to my clients is I don't want them above a 4 out of 10 on a discomfort scale. And that's not just because I want to make sure that I'm not damaging their skin, but physiologically something very different happens. If you are receiving a minor controlled trauma, the body's response is to do the wonderful stuff we want, which is produce collagen and elastin and give you the results that we're looking for. If you're secretly laying there at a 7 out of 10, physiologically, your body goes into a shock state. It's in fight or flight. Your cortisol levels are spiked, your adrenaline's rushing. But what the body naturally does when you're in that state is it suppresses the things that it thinks are not important in the processes. Hair, skin, nails, digestion, very common. And so actually it's counterbalancing what we're doing with treatment. So it isn't that old phrase, more pain, more gain. That is not what's happening. That is not what we want. Please keep communicating with your practitioner. Tell them if you are in any pain because they can adapt your treatment program for you. And that's the thing I think I'd encourage all of you to be really honest about. If you want to target specific fat pad areas, fat loss areas, so under the chin, for example, communicate that to your practitioner. But be very, very clear that you don't want to lose volume elsewhere. Ask what they're going to do to mitigate the risk, to reduce the risk. All treatments come with risk. There are no two ways about it. And having that understanding, that communication with your practitioner is absolutely key. Really hope that helps. Please reach out to me on any of my socials if you've got any questions, and I will pop some links to some other blogs you might find helpful underneath. Have a great day, and I will see you soon.